Welcome back to another episode of Mind and Harmony Sports. Today is a special episode as we have a former D1 football player and a high school coach currently joining us. Thank you so much and enjoy. Can you introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, and what you're up to now?
Yeah, my name is Adhir Ravipati. Everyone just calls me Coach Adhir. From the Bay Area, grew up in the South Bay, in Saratoga, and I'm the head football coach at Archbishop Reardon High School in San Francisco.
Perfect. And so, what was your life like when you were a kid? Like, how'd you get into football to start with?
Hell, man. When I was a kid, I just loved being outside. Like, I just used to, it was like me and all my friends that grew up on my street. And I was lucky that a lot of the kids were around my grade or in my grade. Um, we played everything, like anything we could get our hands on. Everything from street hockey to soccer to tackle football. Like we did all of it. I actually never played football, like organized until high school. But I played kind of like pickup at like the park and with my friends and like lunch and stuff like that. And then I played flag football in middle school, in seventh and eighth grade. So that was kind of like my introduction into it, what we got me into it. But growing up, just being outdoors, we played every sport we could possibly play every chance we got. Pretty much growing up, like sports was a big part of my life, whether it was organized or unorganized.
Oh wow, so you started really late. Did you fall in love with like tackle football right as you started it?
It's a good question. I definitely really liked it. I don't think it was until like my senior year of high school that I really like fell in love with it. I always loved football, but I'd played basketball a little bit more, and actually baseball was my sport growing up. So going into high school, actually, like I thought I was going to be a baseball player. And I think like I just kind of grew a love for football during my time in high school. Once I started playing, I started gravitating towards it and kind of got less interested in baseball because I just played it for so long in my life. Basketball definitely was another one that I definitely was one of my first loves. But in the end, like for me, like football is such a special experience, such a unique sport and opportunity, and like the connection you have. And I had more opportunities in football than basketball, but also like basketball, I feel like was something that you could like play pickup and play organized basketball the rest of your life, but like you can't really play football the rest of your life that way. And it was something that like I just grown to really love, and I ended up pursuing that path.
Wow, and would you say like sports was just something that you always found as like just a fun thing or like an escape, or what would you say drew you to sports?
I'm a super competitive person,
Uh,
so I love being outside. I love competing, and like sports naturally kind of gives you both of those, that opportunity to be outside and to compete. And I also think just there's something about like the connection you have with like your teammates and with your coaches that I always appreciated. And just like the friendships that I built through sports, like it kind of was like a grounding point for me and like something that I really appreciated and gravitated towards. I just found a lot of meaning and like purpose in it. And the relationships that I formed and like the things that it taught me. It definitely was like a holistic thing that really drew me into it.
for sure. Well, focusing more on like your football career, you played Division 1 football, correct?
Yeah, so I played 2 years at University of San Diego, then I played 3 years at Northeastern University.
Okay, and like when did you think that that could become a reality?
Probably my junior year of high school. Recruiting is very different now than it was back then. Like when I was in high school, it was like all pretty much like the summer going into your senior year and your senior year season that kind of dictated recruiting. And nowadays it's like it happens so early.
Yeah.
They almost don't even like care about your senior season to an extent. But for me, it was like my junior year, I really started to feel like, I was developing as a player. And if I continue to invest, like I'd have those opportunities and seeing other people around me. We had a kid that when I was a sophomore who went to play Division 3 football, and we had a kid when I was a junior who was getting recruited. And so like I was kind of the next one up. And so it kind of drew my interest that those opportunities were going to be there for me.
Yeah.
Um, my Going into my senior year, I started doing a bunch of camps and sending a bunch of like VHS tapes of like my game highlights and stuff, and then doing that all the way into my senior season and seeing the opportunities that came. I definitely love football, and I thought like, oh, I want to play a sport in college, but I don't think it was until like after my junior year like basketball seasons. Like I played football, I played basketball, and when I was in my spring sports season, I was kind of like, yeah, I think like football is going to be my opportunity and the track I want to follow.
Oh, okay, very cool. And like at that level, what would you say? Like, cause it's like I feel like physically, there's probably a lot of similarities, but I feel like the mental aspect of the sport at that point is what separates the good from the great. So, like, what would you say gave you that mental edge into getting into D1?
Yeah, it was interesting because like I mean I went to Harker for high school, which is like not known for football at all, and it wasn't like a school that people recruited out of at all. So I definitely think for me it was just like obviously like I was blessed with some athletic gifts and like being tall and having a frame that like college coaches would be interested in, but outside of that, I just think like I kind of always carried a chip on my shoulder, just being at a smaller school that people didn't recruit and being an unconventional path. Like, there weren't a lot of Indian college football players. There weren't a lot of people that were coming out of like the South Bay, out of a school like Harker, going to play football in college. And so I kind of like the fact that I was different and then just like my competitiveness. So I think like I had that chip on my shoulder and I always wanted to compete. And I didn't want to shy away from competition. Like if someone at a camp was like considered the best player there, then like I wanted to go against them. Like I think that was kind of like the thing that maybe separated me is like I wasn't, even though I came from like a smaller school and wasn't as like polished or like physically developed or technically developed as other guys, like I had a competitive edge and like I love playing and I love competing.
That's very cool. Like, would you say once you got to the D1 level, you ever faced any mental challenges like pressure or burnout? Like you were over competitive at some points? Or would you say it was pretty?
I definitely love playing. I will say this though, it is really, really hard. Like people do not understand how hard like playing college football or college sports is. Like, I mean, they own your life 24/7 year round. Like they dictate your schedule, they dictate what you're doing every hour of the day, how hard the practices and the training are. I mean, you're being trained to go out there and dominate in a sport, and you have to have a physical and mental edge to be able to do that. And so, I definitely think everyone like goes through it in college because, like, just it's really hard and it's really challenging. Also, going from being like the best player in your team or one of the best players in your area to everybody's that good, and then now you're all competing to see who's the cream of the crop and who rises from there. So I definitely think, I mean, there was challenges with like injuries and competition that didn't go my way and stuff like that, but. I was fortunate to be able to play. I was fortunate to be able to contribute to my teams. And, um, the biggest thing I would just say is like, yeah, like, I mean, it's a grind. It's really hard and it pushes you, but like, I think it teaches you a work ethic and a self-discipline that like serves you really well after your career is over.
And do you think like the community of everyone going through the same thing or like the shared struggle, do you think that also helped motivate you to keep going through it?
100%. Like, I mean, that's the whole like your team bonding and like relationship building comes through that shared struggle. Like, you are all on the same schedule. You all got to go through a crazy hard workout. But like it brings you together and like, it's kind of like a mindset, like we're all in this together and like we're gonna embrace this together and we're gonna get through this together. But like that also then forges into like you actually look forward to being in there and like seeing that grind with those people that like you now have an invested relationship and trust and belief and love with, right? And I think that like speaks to kind of just the camaraderie and team building aspect of it.
For sure. And like while you were there, did you ever plan on trying to make it to the NFL or did you always know like this would just be college only?
Um, like everyone's got NFL dreams, right? Like, I mean, I definitely would say I did. I think my junior going into senior year, I think I kind of was like, this was it. Like, I had some injuries, and I think like I didn't know one, it's not like I was going to be a first round pick or anything. Like, and it was probably going to be a long shot anyway. But it's like, maybe you have a really great senior year and you have an opportunity to go, at least go to a pro day and see what happens. And for me, I just was like, um, I was ready to move on with my life and move into the next chapter. And so it gave me perspective on like appreciating every moment of my senior year and selling out for it and being okay with walking away after that.
For sure. So like what was the transition like from like football every day, football is life to like going to into a whole different phase of your life? What were the ups and downs of it?
It definitely is like you kind of struggle with just, I wouldn't say struggle, it's just an adjustment of like you have freedom, like your life isn't regimented. Um, it's like you don't know what you're going to be doing the next day. You don't know what you're going to be doing 6 months from now. And like, I think there's excitement in that, but that can also be like a little bit daunting if you don't have the self-discipline to be able to like fill your time appropriately and like the right way. But I think for me, it was a pretty seamless transition. Like I played club volleyball my last like semester of college. And then I moved back home to get into the tech industry and I got right into coaching. And so for me, like my time kind of went from playing into like coaching. And so I was able to kind of fill that void pretty easily. And so that kind of like for me gave me an outlet for me to not only continue to have that competitive outlet and that opportunity to be around that type of environment, but also it was like now my opportunity to take the things that I learned in my experiences and be able to pay those forward, right?
Yeah, that's true. And like, were you working in tech at the same time as being a coach?
Yeah, so pretty much right out of college, I finished up my last summer class while I coached my first season as a JV head coach at Menlo Atherton. And then the next few years, I was basically working in tech and my tech career was growing as like my coaching career was kind of going. And so I was able to kind of balance that for a while. And then after we won a state championship at Menlo Atherton when I was the head coach in 2018, I ended up stepping down because remote work wasn't a thing. Like COVID hadn't happened yet. So I couldn't manage the commute in my career anymore with coaching. And then I ended up being able to get back into it because of remote work and some of the flexibility. I now was able to work East Coast hours, which allowed me to kind of open up my afternoons and stuff, right? So it worked out that way for me. And so I'm very fortunate and grateful that I've had the opportunity to be able to balance the two and continue to have two passions that I can pursue, right? So
Yeah.
I lucked out a little bit. And I want to say, I mean, COVID was obviously a terrible experience, but and like chaos it caused around the world, but it did afford me an opportunity to be able to get back into this.
That's really cool. Well, like now as a high school coach, how do you think about the mental side of the game for your players? Because you could probably picture yourself being in their position just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think I'm able to connect with them a little bit because I'm like a younger coach and like to your point, like I did just go through this. I don't know if I could say just anymore. I'm getting a lot older now, but I take it really seriously. I think one, like I know what it's like to be in their shoes and go through those hard times and the ups and downs of it. And then I think also kids nowadays, I think are so much more in tune with their emotions and with their mental health in a way that like we weren't when I was in high school. Like you just didn't do those things. Like you didn't really
Yeah.
talk about it. It wasn't like a thing that people acknowledged or cared about. Like I think it's a good thing that people are so much more open about it. And so for us, like we invest a lot in it. We have a program called Built for Life, which like is our life skills development class. And so like we teach that like a class and do different exercises and modules that are all centered around like team development and like mindset development in order for the kids to be able to be successful on and off the field. And so like we invest a lot of time in it. I think it's really fun and I think it's a really big important part of who we are and what like kids need within sports and in general to be successful these days.
For sure. And like going on to your tech career, would you say like the skills that you took from football helped you thrive in that career as well, like the discipline or the hard work that you learned from football?
Oh yeah, I would say a couple of things. One, definitely the discipline work ethic. Like I think I have really good self-discipline and really good work ethic because like I'm used to like having a tight compressed schedule and having to move from one thing to another and also just like being able to grind through things that like other people maybe can't. I think that it's just definitely like a byproduct of sports. I think the ability to work in a team, the leadership component, a lot of those have definitely helped me in my tech career. And I joke with people from time to time of like, if you can manage 100 teenage males in a high school football program, you can easily manage designers and engineers, right? So um, it definitely does cross over and help both ways. So like I definitely view it as something that is important to who I am and my growth on both sides.
Well, if you could give your younger D1 self one piece of advice, what do you think it would be?
Hmm, that's a good question. Um, I don't think I would change anything because obviously it forged me into who I am.
Yeah.
I definitely would just say like appreciate it and enjoy every moment. Like I definitely know there's times that's hard and all that, but like you're gonna look back on it really fondly and it's not always about the wins and losses or playing time or how many balls you got thrown your way and all that. Like soak up the experience and the opportunity and like just enjoy. the day to day because you get older, you start a job, and it's like, man, like life wasn't that hard when I was getting like school paid for so that I could like lift weights and
Yeah.
be in the best shape of my life and play football every day. Like, like just appreciate every day and like sell out, go 110% every day for like the opportunity you have available to you. I definitely think like that's the biggest thing and like nurture and appreciate the relationships around you also. 'Cause I think at times like you take them for granted when you're in the moment, right? And later you're like, man, that was a really special time, or man, that was a really special person that like maybe you don't talk to as much or you lose sight of those things in the time.
Yeah, I guess because you're with them like 24/7, especially in the D1 setting.
Oh yeah. No, I mean you those will be your best friends because you're gonna go through the best and worst of times together, right? Whether it's like a 5 a.m. workout or, a really terrible double overtime loss. Like, I mean, you're all in that stuff together.
Yeah, it's that shared struggle. Well, one last question. What would you say is the greatest football movie of all time?
Oh man. I mean, you probably never seen the program. You're too young for that one.
Let me see.
And there's like any given Sunday, Friday Night Lights, the replacements.
You want to say Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans. There's a lot of good ones. Friday Night Lights came out when I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
It was my senior year, my junior year. I think it might have been my junior year of high school, but that one is like special to me because it was like I was in high school when that one came out. So like that was the one that we all watched and like gravitated towards. I'd probably say Friday Night Lights if I had to pick one.
Did you watch the TV show as well?
Yeah, TV show was good too. That's probably why I'd go with that one. So, of
Okay, perfect. Well, that was my last question. Thank you so much.
course, appreciate the time.
Thank you. Bye.